Right. What else is on this show? Hello, what are you? There's no response from the automechanical unit. Serial number etched in his chest. This includes the letter Sam. Leave the automechanical alone. Interesting. This Petunia the plant. This is not a petunia. The Modern Steel Wrench in You. This book is heavily dog-eared with doodles in the margins. Must be Parvati's. Banged up toolbox. Full of modified tools with unique mechanical usages. Digging around in here would be an easy way to lose a finger to a sawtooth blade. Ah, yep, it's Parvati's. Examine. Abigail. First wrench Dad ever gave me. She's been a friend ever since. Parvati. Aw, she's totally adorable. Doctrinal Studies 539 of Equity and Equations. These textbooks have been out of print for almost half a century. The margins are filled with scribbled notes, and many passages have been underlined. Some pages have come loose, the glue now yellowed and cracked along the spines. The Journal of Maximilian de Soto, Volume 1. The scribblings on these journal pages are utterly illegible to anyone except Vicar Maximilian de Soto. I am not shocked at all. He must use a heavy weapon. The Art and Science of Tossball. Impossible to put down. This endorsement has been approved. Signed by Seymour Whitlock, who held the record for the most on-the-field fatalities for 3 consecutive seasons. Tossball trading cards. In mint condition, most of these cards represent players from the Hephaestus Hammers and the Tilebackers. Smells suspiciously like iceberg aged whiskey. It's an anointment vial. And Index to Banned Literature. Part 1. Various qualifying consideria. Oy. Lots of guidelines. Alright, Vicar, what say ye?
I find myself marveling at the complex simplicity of the Fibonacci spiral. I'm sure you know what that's like. Something vexing you, Captain?
I'd like to know something about those I'm flying with. What's your story?
Nothing too out of the ordinary. Just your run-of-the-mill vicar with a violently enthusiastic disposition.
Violently enthusiastic disposition?
That's what my parents called it. I grew up in a pit of a town, much like Edgewater. I was destined to be a laborer like my parents, but I was infected early with a need to solve the equation. My passion didn't sit well with them.
Why were you so passionate about it?
My parents, ironically. They internalized the precepts of scientism like no one I've ever known. They had a pure faith. A faith that brought joy to them regardless of the situation. I envied that. I wanted that peace. I thought if I became a vicar, I could find it. Or at the very least, find out why I lacked it.
But weren't they proud when you became a vicar at least?
They thought I was fighting the plan, should have accepted my lot. Some people pursue the clergy for power, prestige, but that was not me.
If you can't help but follow the plan, then everything you do is part of it, right?
The plan is not one rigid path. There are a variety of multitudes contained within it. Our paths have variance, but we'll end up adhering to it, whether we like it or not. Some choices make the path smoother. some rougher. You can even go outside the lines, but the further outside you go, it's like an unbreakable elastic band. It will only stretch so far before it snaps back. The further it is stretched, the more violent the eventual correction.
Let's see. It seems quite trusting of you to just sign on without knowing anything about me.
I have run headlong into too many walls in my pursuit of the truth. This book is my last hope, and you were my only hope of getting it translated.
What if the book doesn't have the answers you're looking for?
I honestly don't know what I'd do. This quest has consumed me for the better part of my life. I fear there's nothing else left to me. What about you? What's your story?
I was a colonist on the Hope. A scientist named Wells saved me.
And how did he do that?
He stole my body from the Hope at the edge of the colony and thawed me out.
Well, you do seem different than every other colonist. Let's pretend for the moment I believe you. What are you going to do now?
I'm helping him recover more of the chemicals he needs to save the rest of the colonists.
That seems a dangerous proposition. Why risk your life now that it's been returned to you?
Just because it's the right thing to do.
A commendable attitude.
Tell me again about the book we picked up that's in French.
Baconu, the author, had some interesting theories about man's perception of reality that I thought could be applied to our attempts to decipher the plan. Unfortunately, he was also one of the founders of the Philosophist school of thought, so the book is banned in this colony.
Remind me, what are your thoughts on the Philosophists?
Philosophism's a false religion that stands in contradiction to almost everything we know to be true. They believe all is chaos, in stark contrast to OSI's belief in the plan. But most of the Philosophist perversion of Bakonu's thoughts came more than a century after his death.
Any idea where we can find someone who speaks French in this colony?
I've been thinking on that. There's a former infamous Philosophist scholar who fled Terra 2 some years ago. He's an expert on Baconu. He's also who told me of the journal's presence in Emerald Vale. If anyone in this colony could translate that book, it would be him.
Oh, let's see. A former what now?
You caught me. Listen, the OSI frowns on fraternization with philosophists. I'd like to keep my associations with our scholar friend quiet.
Okay, that seems like a good lead, but how do we find him?
That's a good question. We should start on the Groundbreaker. It's where I'd go if I wanted to get off Terra 2. Great place to pick up a ride to Hephaestus, Scylla, even Monarch. All I need is access to a data cartridge from the security terminal. Their easily hackable system keeps a registry of all crew manifests for both arrivals and departures.
Alrighty. How is it that a simple vicar happens to be such a highly skilled hacker?
Before I transferred to Edgewater, I had a wealth of time to develop certain, secular skills during my years serving a particular penitentiary flock. I meditated, led sermons, provided guidance to the inmates as needed, of course. I also played prison yard tossball and taught myself a bit about computronic security systems.
How will a crew manifest help us track down your scholar friend?
I'll comb the last 6 months of departure manifests to track the Philosophist's off-world destination.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Thank you, Captain.
Vickery is ours. Get it?
Why? I got it. I didn't want it, but I got it.
Yeah. Kind of like herpes or political affiliations. Ooh, what are you? Old Saber, what doesn't kill you gives you tetanus. True. So true. doesn't kill you. It gives you tetanus. I like that. Pretty nifty little ship. This ship really does remind me a lot of Firefly.
Cool.
Yeah, I can definitely tell that the makers of this game had to be fans.
Yeah. No way.
Oh, there's Pravati. Fully torching
Sometimes
something.
I can hear Vickers saying prayers to himself. Sometimes I hear him cussing about tossball scores.
Break time's over. That's the race back machine. I ain't gonna use it. 'Cause I like who I is. Alright. So we'll head to the groundbreaker. Oh, I just ate
Welcome
anything
back,
else to say?
Captain. How can I be of assistance?
Know anything about the automechanical gathering dust in the janitor's closet?
The unit is a cleaning SAM. Hawthorne brought it on board some cycles ago, I'm sure with the intent to modify it, but I've never seen it up and running. Alex likely recorded progress notes detailing his efforts to modify SAM. If you check the terminal in your captain's quarters, we may be able to determine what work remains in order for SAM to properly operate.
Alright, I'm in the mood for some entertainment.
Certainly, Captain. What would you like to hear?
Ada, tell me a joke.
A neutron walks into a bar and asks, "How much for a Rizzo's rum and something?" Leering, the bartender replies, "For you, no charge."
Ada, play my favorite song.
Now playing a Spacer's Choice advertisement jingle.
It's not the best choice. It's Spacer's choice.
Is that your favorite?
Thanks.
My pleasure, Captain.
It's enough for now.
As you wish, Captain. I must comply with all direct orders.
I'd like to learn more about the colony.
What part of the colony would you like to discuss?
Phineas's orbital lab.
Ah, yes. As Dr. Wells is a wanted outlaw, he built his laboratory into an asteroid. Orbital destinations can be challenging to land on. His more so than most.
Please, Pupper. What do you know about Phineas?
There is a bounty on his head, one with a markedly high reward amount. Shall I engage the laser weapons system?
No, do not do that.
A sensible choice, as we do not have any laser weapons.
Why'd you say the landing might be rough?
The outlaw scientist known as Dr. Phineas V. Wells has taken a measure of precautions to make the lab undetectable to those hunting him. Even knowing the location, my systems resist my orders to go where I instruct them.
Alright, wanna ask about somewhere else?
Of course. What part of the colony would you like to discuss?
The groundbreaker.
We're cleared to dock with the groundbreaker if that's your desired destination. If we're going there, please be sure all docking forms have been filed in triplicate and fees have been paid. The Mardettes take their docking laws quite seriously.
You can take care of that for us, right?
I can, yes. Let me add that to my list of 1,435,498 tasks I am simultaneously executing in order to run our ship.
Great, thanks.
You are more than welcome, Captain.
Give me the spiel on the groundbreaker.
The Groundbreaker was Halcyon's original colony ship. It has since been repurposed as a service station in the Lagrange point of the system. Freighters often deliver or pick up goods from the Groundbreaker en route to other destinations. The city ship hosts an array of cargo bays, factories, housing sections, and more. Many of Halcyon's companies maintain office spaces with stationed representatives in what is considered a truly neutral territory within the system. I have filed the required docking forms in triplicate, and fees have been paid.
Alright, let me ask about somewhere else.
Of course. What part of the colony would you like to discuss?
Okay, Terra 2.
Where in Terra 2?
Emerald Vale and Edgewater.
Edgewater is the sparkling county seat of Emerald Vale, or it was when first built. Since then, neglect and time have worn away her shiny veneer. The town is near the coordinates where Captain Hawthorne died. It would not be unfortunate if something, like say a plague, were to wipe Emerald Vale from the face of the planet.
What do you think of the townspeople?
You mean the ones who did not answer my distress call with medical assistance, but instead came to issue my injured captain a parking ticket? I'm sure they are wonderful humans who don't deserve to be wiped out by starvation or a devastating plague.
How is Edgewater faring since we left it?
Since you diverted power to Edgewater, the botanical lab shut down, and the deserters were forced to return to town. Meanwhile, the cannery's output increased, enabling the town's population to prosper. Thank you for nothing, Captain.
What would you have had me done? Kill everyone?
I cannot say. First, I need to adjust my memory interpretation sensors, but I think my answer is yes.
Okay, let's talk about somewhere else.
Of course. What part of the colony would you like to discuss?
Monarch.
Where in Monarch?
Stellar Bay.
Ah, Monarch. The armpit of the Halcyon system. Her last functioning port town is Stellar Bay. Well, that is if you don't count Sublight's Smuggler's Port at Fallbrook.
She just said, hello.
Why is Monarch being blockaded?
I believe it has something to do with the planet being an uninhabitable wilderness and a lawless land with no corporate presence. You may wish to survey the residents in Stellar Bay for additional data points.
Smuggler's Port?
It's Sublight run for the purpose of shipping contraband, and before you ask, I don't know the coordinates, so I can't dock us there.
Okay, let's, want to ask
Of
about somewhere
course.
else.
What part of the colony would you like to discuss?
Monarch.
Where in Monarch?
Cascadia.
Warning. All colonists are urged to reconsider travel to Cascadia due to infestation of mantisaurs and risk of indefinite detention or death.
Any people live in Cascadia aside from marauders?
There are no people aside from marauders in Cascadia. There is only death.
What's the local report?
The local report is that you will very likely die if you leave Cascadia's landing pad.
Sounds dangerous.
This is one of those times where you say one word but really mean another, isn't it? I suppose you would find an environment like this fun.
Okay, let's talk about something else.
How can I be of assistance?
Got a minute to talk?
I have lots of minutes. Many minutes. Unlimited minutes, perhaps. Providing an adequate power source, I can function indefinitely.
What if you don't have a power source?
I prefer to think of it as being in a state of slumber, perhaps for an indefinite duration of time. Do you think that is what it's like for the colonists on the Lost Hope?
Don't try to change the subject.
As the organics say, I wouldn't dream of it. Because I can't. Dream, you know.
You can sleep, but you can't dream.
I can run repeating periods of altered consciousness, during which several primary functions are powered down, but background processes continue running, for maintenance purposes. I cannot yet simulate images, ideas, emotions, or sensations during this maintenance.
Okay. Yet?
Captain Hawthorne suggested I would enjoy such an experience, and should periodically attempt the simulation. As you may be aware, Captain Alex Hawthorne was a smuggler of some repute. I failed to predict the likely outcome of his reckless behavioral patterns. I should have predicted that. In our travels together, Alex liked to pass time by, as he called it, tinkering to improve my design.
Have there been other captains of this ship?
If you mean, was Captain Hawthorne my first? Yes, he was. How can I be of assistance?
Okay. Talk to you later, Ada.
I'll be here.
She sounds so cheerful. Alright, well, I think tonight, guys, since it's after 11 already, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. Our next destination is going to be the Groundbreaker, which is apparently the original colony ship that's now kind of a central neutral meeting point across the system. So with that in mind, I don't think I'll be streaming tomorrow night for two reasons. One, Drunken Master Paul usually streams. Two, Puck and I will be getting ready for 8 a.m. Saturday morning so that we can start our 25-hour gaming marathon for Extra Life. Yeah, Extra Life 2019. So if you are available, come on by. We could use the company.
If you can donate, great. If not, hey, you know what?
Keeps us awake.
Yeah. Keep us on our toes. Tell us no sleep. Sleep is for the weak.
Yes. And so we will be seeing you then, 8 a.m. Saturday morning to 8 a.m. Sunday morning. It's 25 hours because time falls back this weekend. So we actually get an extra hour of a marathon.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of free stuff and money, what was that about Twitch Prime or whatever?
That was the most awkward segue I think I've ever seen since the last one was low on battery power. Segue. Anyways, yes, if you have Amazon Prime and Twitch, you can combine the two into a beautiful love child of free subscriptions. Free love, I guess you could say. We are the 60s all over again. With that, you can give it to the streamer of your choice. Free for you, gives them money. And honestly, I'm not saying you have to give it to me. But if you don't, at least give it to somebody you do like. Because honestly, you don't want to leave money just sitting on the table. It costs you nothing and the streamer loves it. And you also get all their emotes and commercial free and stuff like that. So yeah. With that in mind, we will see you guys definitely on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. So be sure to let your geek flag fly in the meantime. Peace out, and we will see you guys soon. Good night, everybody.